again for our skeptical talk, where we think through different questions and the big questions of life, and then we try to answer them in a Christian perspective or give reason to why we believe what we believe. And today we're really looking at the big question: what is the purpose for my life? Now, it's a big and loaded question, and so before I start, I just want to ask, it will be very hard to answer this question in the couple of minutes that we have, because we try to keep them as short as possible. So I encourage you to hit us up, like message us via Vula or email us on our email address, and I'll be sure to get a hold of those questions, and I'll seek to answer them the best way that I can. So I hope that you are enjoying it and that you're a part of this, and that I'll give you an opportunity for you guys to maybe pause it, go get yourself some tea or some coffee, and then we'll continue as we look and answer this big question: what is the purpose for my life? Now, this is a massive question and a massive topic, because in a way you can ask it in different ways. Not just what's the purpose for my life, is you can ask it is, why am I here? What am I created for? What am I meant to do with my life? I know all of us in some way, shape or form have sought to answer this question, or have thought about it and have always wondered about it, is that, am I really doing the right thing with my life? Am I making the most of this life that I have been given? Well, today we're going to really look and answer this question, and I'll really give you the answer. I'll give you what I believe is the purpose for not just your life, not just like whoever's watching or my life, but it's a purpose, and it's a life of what is the purpose for everyone's life that was created by God. What is the meaning of life? What brings meaning to a life? And I'll answer it in this way. The whole purpose of your life, of my life, is to glorify God. The purpose of my life and your life is to glorify God. Another way to put it is that the purpose of my life is to walk in step and in line of the mandate that God has given me, or in step of the context of who God created me to be. Or in another way, is that to view life through a lens that reveals the glory of God, the majesty of God. And so that is the purpose of your life, and that is the purpose of my life. Okay, I know that it's a big thing, and I'm using quite maybe some Christian jargon and the big theological words of glory. What do I mean by all of that? Well, I'm just going to explain it in the simplest way possible of the purpose of life. Well, if you really think of one's life, if you think of my life and you think of your life as it relates to time, all of us here have time. So look at life and think of life as time. What is time? So many people define time, and probably the one that I like best is that time is the measure through which change is measured. Time is about change. As you see time, or as things change, you can see that it's time that changes. Whether it can be a clock, it can be through the seasons. Like this past week, we had good, glorious sunshine here in Cape Town, and today it's stormy and windy. And we can see that a new season is coming, and it just shows time. It reflects the time that is gone past. And so look at your life. I want us to view as my life in the essence of time. And the question that I really want us to ask is not what time it is. There's a far bigger question for us to ask. Is that, what am I doing with the amount of time that I have left? Job, one of the books in the Bible, defines time as this: that my days are swifter than a runner. They flee away and they see no good. That time is so quick. It happens so quick. We can overeat, we can overspend, we can overachieve, but you can never overlive. There will come a time where you'll stop thinking about how old you are, and you'll start to think about, how much time do I have left? I'm almost hitting the middle age zone, and so I hope I don't have a hectic midlife crisis. But if you see me wearing muscle shirts and having a new convertible, you know that it's hit me hard. But essentially, one thing, as you get older, you realize that time is going away so slowly. This past week, we were blessed to have another addition to our family, a new son. Yes, I'm saying new son like it's a commodity, but a new member of our family. And I remember even when we're still pregnant, everyone was telling me, Cameron, you want to make the most of your time. If you feel like going out, go out. If you ever have a debate, should I consider watching a movie or not, or should I go see someone? It's like, no, make use of it, because your time is running out, because as soon as the new baby comes, all that time or that option is away from you. And so really, I want us to understand this. Are you making the most of your time? Do you view your life as time is running out? And so therefore, I must maximize and make the most of the time that I have left. And if you really understand the Christian perspective, and if you really understand the Bible, and especially in the Psalms where it speaks a lot about time, this is what is very important, that all of them always say, is that context is everything. Context is everything. That the context through which we should view life and the context through which we should view time, it's in the context of who God is. And that is very important, because if you see like your life and if you see time in the context of who God is, it will really allow you to make the most of the time that you have left. People may ask, if we are made from dust and we're going to be returned to dust when we die, does it really matter what happens in the middle? If you believe that nothing happens in the middle, then I'll encourage you to do whatever your heart desires. Whatever satisfies your heart, you should just do. There's a better way to live than just following rules and doing what everyone is telling you to do or pleasing your parents. I just want you to do exactly what your heart desires. If you want something, take it. If you see a hot girl and you want to kiss her, go ahead and kiss her. Do what your heart desires. Maslow calls it the self-actualization as the highest need that we have as human beings. Now, can you imagine if life was lived like that? How much carnage there would be in our world? How much carnage there would be on our campuses? How much carnage there would be even in our very own families if everyone did what their hearts desire? And so therefore, the purpose of life is not to do what your heart desires, no matter what the movies say. Because if you really analyze that and you see if everyone did what they felt like it, how much carnage would be. Imagine if all the rapists did what all they wanted to be, the child molesters, if the murderers, if the drug dealers did all what they wanted to be, how much carnage there would be. So the purpose of your life is not just to do whatever your hearts desire or to follow your heart. There has to be more than that. And I would argue again that the purpose of life is to glorify God and to view life in the context of who God is and the context through which God has mandated every single human being to live. And so therefore, this is what I would argue, is that if we could see God as He is, we would give Him the reverence that is due. If we could see the glory of God, we would worship Him. When I mean glory, we know that God created all the heavens, that God is at the essence of who He is. But when we talk about glory, we're talking about the weightiness, His intrinsic value, another way to put it, or when His majesty and power goes out into the world. And we can see that through creation, through the winds that are happening at the moment. The psalmist also puts the moon and the stars glorify and testify to the glory of God. So when you look at the moon, when you look at the stars, when you look essentially at our beautiful city here in Cape Town, you look at the oceans, you drive past Camps Bay or you go up on the other side of Beatty's Bay and Pringle Bay and you drive through the mountains, you just see beauty. All of that reflects and shows the glory of God. And so for us is to view the lens that when we look at all of these things, we realize that somebody must have created it. When we see the perfectness through which creation lives, we see what I would term the glory of God or the power of God. And this is the point that I'm getting to. If we could see God as who He is, if we could see creation as we are meant to see it through the lens of God, we would be careful and we would be mindful to do the most of what we can do with the time that we have left. So the call is, as the psalmist says, teach me to number my days so that I can rightfully live the way that you have taught me to live. And so, are you maximizing the time that you have left? Since you guys are all students, you know this, and you know it yourself, that you spend all nighters just cramming, because you know when you get there and you get to the exam venue, you're gonna write and you're gonna get a C, because you know C's get degrees, and so you cram all nighters. So you maybe miss the whole of the year, and you just wait until that last moment when that those test season or those exams come, and you just cram all nighters. Many people do that with time and with their lives. They waste most of their lives and they think that right at the end I can just do what I can do all nighter. I cram what I need to cram. Well, that time it will be essentially too late, because nothing is guaranteed. Your life is not guaranteed. I mean, if there's one thing this coronavirus has shown us, is that your life and our lives as human beings can be wiped out just like that. And so if you were to die tomorrow, can you say you have maximized your life for the glory of God? I think majority of the answers that I'll get is that I'm still young. I still have the whole world ahead of me. And so I want to do more with my life. Well, if you were a Christian and you viewed the lens of your life through the context of who God is, in terms of taking every single day to glorify Him, you know that even in your death, and I hope that doesn't happen, by the way, but if it does, even if you die tomorrow, you know that you maximize your life because you lived the life in the context of who God created you to be. And so therefore, you understand that as soon as you die, it's not the end of you, that you will go and dwell with God. And when you're thinking about truth, and when you're thinking about different ideologies or philosophies, that's the one thing that separates Christianity from all other religions. Is number one, we understand where we come from. We understand that we were created by God. We understand our origin. We also understand our meaning and purpose, and that is to glorify God, which is what we've been speaking about, to maximize the time that we have left and view life in the context of who God is. And we also know that what happens to us when we die, our futures, we know that when we die, we will dwell with God in heaven, those of who are in right relationship with Him. And so therefore, if you understand where you come from, and you understand what is the meaning of life, and you understand where you are going, so therefore you'll really understand how to do and to maximize the remaining time that you have on this earth, no matter how long God has blessed us to be. And I want you guys to have it all. I want you guys to have the house and the 3.2 kids. Those are the stats of the average people in South Africa that have kids. And so I want you guys to have the dream. I want you guys to have your dream job. But all of that will be utterly useless if you don't understand and the context through which you are ultimately meant to live your life. We know of many people that have all of these things, but yet have made a wreck of their life, that they are completely unhappy. Sorry to use this analogy. Maybe it's foreign to many of you, but I'm a fan of hip-hop. And one of the biggest beat makers out there was Scott Storch. I mean, a lot of time now, we have a lot of free time, and so I've just been watching a whole lot of YouTube clips of how he makes beats and focusing on and just on his life and how he lived the life. I mean, he made the biggest tracks that there is for Dr. Dre, for Beyonce, anyone, for 50 Cent, any big artist out there, they have worked with Scott Storch. And you know, he had it all. He had the woman, he had the cars, he had the mansions, he had world fame, he had everything. And the very thing that he says constantly is that I was completely unhappy. I had all of those things and I was completely unhappy. He became a drug addict and he became depressed because he realized the meaning of life is not found in those things. And if he was to die today, he would realize that he's made a waste and he's wrecked his life. Because the purpose of his life was not to accumulate as much knowledge as you can, not to accumulate or to accumulate as much wealth as you want, or to have the most dopest relationships that you can out there. But he will not find happiness until he has found God. You will not find happiness and fulfillment and purpose for your life until you have found God. You will always feel there's something more. There's something more that I want to achieve. There's something more that I need to do with my life. No, the only thing that you need is God himself. You need God himself. And that is what the Bible professes. And that's what Christianity says, is that once you've understood and seen life in the context of who God is, then you'll understand that the purpose of your life is to see your life in the context of God and his creation. And he's creating life for you and his purpose for you. You cannot pull all-nighters to make up for lost time. You cannot. One of the, I was reading actually this article about a lady called Bonnie War, and she runs a hospice nurse, and she's a hospice nurse, sorry, and she looks after people in their final moments. So if you are dying and the doctors say there's nothing we can do for you, they take you to this place where you basically live out the rest of your days. And then she wrote, and this, I'll say this in closing, and she wrote a book, an article, and she was listing the 2 top things that people always say of the way that they wanted to live their life or to maximize their time. One of those things that they said is that I wish I hadn't worked so hard. They said, actually, I worked so hard, but yet at the end, I realized it did not amount to much. Like, I wish I had given myself to relationships and to figure out what is the purpose of life more than just it's all about accomplishments and just working hard. I'm not advocating for laziness. I'm advocating that if your purpose of your life is found in your achievements or working hard or what you can accomplish, you'll find that actually at the end, it will really not amount to much. You may accumulate a lot of wealth, but maybe your kids will go and misuse it. Or you'll just lose it all. Many people have lost tons and tons of millions because of this COVID-19. And many people are getting depressed and people are committing suicide it's high now. Why? It's because the purpose of their life has been taken away. And this is the beauty about Christianity. And if you don't know about it, I encourage you to investigate more. The beauty about Christianity is that no matter what life can take away from you, you'll always have reason and hope to live, because you know that the real essence of the purpose of life is to glorify God, and that is something that can never be taken away from you. And so therefore, no matter what lives throw at you, no matter what tragedies may lie ahead for you, you know that it's not the end for you. Because what ultimately matters is that you live a purpose-driven life, focusing on what really matters. And it's not found in achievements. It's not found there. Secondly, what people said that they would have done with their life is that I wish I had the courage to live a true life, true to myself, not what others expected of me. And so this essentially is what Skeptical is about. We encourage you to make you think and to find out what is the true essence and calling for your life. I've put forward that the true essence and calling for your life is that you are called to glorify God. You may say, I need to, no, just wait, Cameron. Like, you don't understand. I need to make it. I need to achieve. Like, you don't know the context of where I come from. You don't know what people's expectation of me is. I need to make it. I want to ask you, what is that it? What is that it? And what if you never make it or achieve it? What if you are not here 5 years from now? You only have 5 years to live. 2 years, 1 year, 1 day? Would you feel that your life has purpose and meaning? Meaning is not found in what you achieve or in what you have, but meaning is essentially found in what God has already achieved through his death, burial, and resurrection on the cross. And because of what he did, he gives my life meaning and purpose. And so therefore I'll encourage you, think seriously about your life. Think seriously about the time that you have left. Think seriously about how you can maximize or should maximize the amount of time that you have left. Don't think of what am I going to do with my life or what am I going to do with my time. Rather look at it the other way. What am I going to do with the remaining time that I have left? What am I going to do with the remaining years that I have left? You know, this life is short. This life is so short. Trust me about it. The other day, I was a teenager in high school looking forward to varsity. Now I'm a father of 2, talking to young people about life and time. That's how short it is. Trust me, I've been thinking about it more and more. And my hope and prayer for you guys is that you would maximize the amount of time that you have left to live a life with meaning, a life that has purpose and direction. And that purpose and direction is only found in viewing life in the context of who God is. Context is everything. Your life will never have purpose. Your life will never have meaning. Your life will never have fulfillment. You'll always feel like there's something more, there's something missing in my life. You may have it all. And the one thing that you'll feel like is missing is the one thing that you should have had from the start. And that is God. Because you are not created for this world. And so therefore your joys will not be found in this world. Your meaning will not be found in this world. Your meaning and joy will only be found in who God is and who God created you to be. And so that's, I don't want to ramble and get preachy, but that is essentially the talk for today of what is the meaning of my life. The meaning of my life is to glorify God. And like John Piper even says, the whole purpose of life is to glorify God and to enjoy Him forever. And I hope that you enjoy it. And I hope that you actually will come back to me and pose questions about what we have talked about. Because this is a very, very important question. And a question that I really want to spend time in answering. And if you have any questions, please hit me up. Please hit us up on social media. I will be posting this talk up there. And please also invite friends for our next talk. And please share it with as many people that you feel like will enjoy this time. And so I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.